Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. How are you all? I hope you all are fine. I welcome you in Pakistan International School at Taif's virtual learning class for grade 7 for the subject science. And we are on chapter number 4. Today we will start chapter number 4, environment and feeding relationship. And today's topic is ecosystem, and we will see habitat also. Here is your chapter number 4, environment and feeding relationships. In this chapter, we will see about ecosystem, then habitat, its different kinds, and how the natural factors as well as human beings change these habitats, as well as then we will see some relationships between the living organisms as well. So let's get started. So as the chapter's name is environment and the feeding habits. So environment is actually is everything which is around the organism. It can be living, it can be non-living. So everything which surrounds an organism, that is called an environment. And we will see here the interaction of organism with its environment. So in this chapter, the first main important term is ecosystem. Ecosystem is very much related to the environment because it is a system formed by the interaction of living and non-living things in an environment. So how the living and non-living things interact with one another, that is called ecosystem. Ecosystem is derived from Greek word that is oikos, oikos. It means home. So it means where the living organisms live. They interact with living and non-living things. So that means the system of a home where the living organisms live. That is called ecosystem. Ecosystem may be large or small, large like a desert and small like a decaying log. Log means a wood which is cut down from the tree. A decaying log like a fallen wood in which some living organisms live, like some insects, microorganisms, etc. They live over there. There are lots of other ecosystems like deserts, seashores, rivers, mountains, oceans, grasslands, rainforests. Some of them we will discuss here one by one. Ecosystem is having two parts or two components. As we have discussed before, that it is having two components. One is living, this one, and the other is non-living things, or we can say the non-living part of the ecosystem. So every organism is having interaction between living organism as well as among the non-living organisms also. Non-living things which are having a great interaction with the living organisms. So the living organisms are called biotic factor and non-living things are called abiotic part of the ecosystem. So all plants and animals, fungi and microorganisms. Fungi is also an organism which depends on other things for their food. That plant-like structure, but actually not plant, and that grows on decaying or on rotten bread or fruits or vegetables like that. So microorganisms make the living or biotic factor, and some non-living also we will discuss it later on. So biotic factors in that organisms of the same kind which live and reproduce in a particular area, in a specific area when they live together, but the organisms must be of same kind, of same type, and they reproduce over there also. They produce their young ones, new babies, and that group of organism is called population. As you see here in the picture, that there are lots of wolves are there, so they all are of same type. So it means in this area this kind of wolves, this kind of this animal, it is called the population of wolves. As many number they are present on this area, like for example in this forest, how many numbers of these wolves are present, that is called its population. Community is actually the group of populations. For example, in the jungle, there are different populations live over there. For example, wolves live over there, elephants, tigers, some microorganisms, plants, etc. So that is called community. Like different type of organisms live on different places. So abiotic factors, they are air, water, living, sunlight, temperature. They are the abiotic part of the ecosystem, although they are non-living, but they are very, very important for the survival of an organism in the ecosystem. So ecosystem means the like the home like structure where living and non-living factors interact with one another. So ecosystems can be terrestrial like the land, and can be the water, that is called aquatic. And here are different ecosystems as well. So in brief, ecosystem is the basic functional unit of ecology. Ecology is called the study of ecosystem. So functional unit in which the living organisms interact with one another. So that is comes from the Greek word that means study of home. So as I told before, in the home, living and non-living things interact with one another. So that's why it is study is called ecosystem. So let's review its definition. A group of organisms interacting among themselves and with the environment is known as ecosystem. So like all living and non-living factors, they interact with one another. Ecosystem can be very small. For example, space under a rock. Under a rock, a minor space is there, so it can be home of insects, some microorganisms also. Or it can be very big like this, a forest. This is very big ecosystem, and this is the small ecosystem, this one. So what are the parts of ecosystem we have discussed right now? Let's review that. That is biotic factors. All living parts of an ecosystem are called biotic factors, in which there are grass, trees, animals, bacteria. Bacteria means all living organisms. And abiotic factors means the non-living parts of an ecosystem. So that non-living part including water, sunlight, oxygen, rocks, etc. So that can be non-living factors, or that is called abiotic factor. The third factor, the third part of the ecosystem is habitat. Habitat actually is the specific place where an organism lives and that provides the things it needs. We see here, first we will talk about an organism. This is a fish. This is one organism. And how do it interact with one another? So let's talk about one. How can it interact? When they just it reproduces, so lots of fishes are there, it means same kind of fishes, the group of individuals, that is population. And when different populations, like this kind of fish, this weeds, like these plants, and these kind of fish, these kind of plants, all these populations, when they interact with one another, that is called community. And different communities, when they interact with one another, so that is called an ecosystem. So here we will see again the population, the number of organisms in an area. You see this number of organisms. What type of organisms? The same kind of organisms like human beings. So if we see community, so many populations are there. Means rabbit, these type of trees, plants, birds, reptiles, and these foxes like this. So these different kinds of populations, they interact together. So they form what? Community. And lots of communities, they just form ecosystem. So habitat is the important part, a place of where an animal lives and reproduces, is called habitat. Habitat provides all the needs for an organism, for example, food, water, shelter, and many populations of organisms live in each habitat. If you see, it's a place where animals find food and shelter. There are lots of different types of habitats. You see here also, if we see rainforest where there is too much rain, so there are lots of animals live over there. Polar region, like where is too much snowfall over there, north and south pole, so lots of animals are living together over there. So that is another habitat, means the place where the animals live. Not one kind of animals live, but lots of populations live over there. Here's wetland, that is near to the water, and every time that is wet, so lots of animals live over there. If you see desert, in desert not only one kind of animal is living, but different kinds of animals live over there, and different populations living over there. That can be a desert habitat or desert ecosystem. That is marine. In marine, different kinds of animals live over there, and in grassland where there is grass, like very little heighted plants over there, so that is grassland habitat. Let's talk about, we have discussed some types of habitat here in this diagram. So we will see them in detail. First of all, we will see grassland habitat. In grassland is grassy, windy, partly dry area. Not every time water is present, but there is like a rainfall sometimes, and there is grass for grazing the animals, and wind blows over there. So these areas receives a medium amount of rainfall, like not so much rainfall and not so little, but medium, just sometimes rain falls over there. So the soil found here is very fertile, is fertile soil, means grass can grow by themselves when there is a rainfall, so animals can feed on that grasses. So grasses are producers. As we know that all green plants are producers. So grasses include in the plants like means that they are producers, like they produce their food by themselves. Producers means the organisms which can produce their food by themselves. So they are plants. And why and how they produce? They produce their food by photosynthesis. So mostly grazing animals live over there. Grazing, the animals who just feed on the plants, on the grass. They just graze, they just eat the grass. Like sheep, goat, cows, antelopes, buffaloes, deer are few examples that are found in a grassland. So they feed on the grass. That's why they are called herbivores. Herbivores means which eat herbs or which eat only the plants or the grass. I think you know this term before, herbivores. So here are some carnivores are also present. Carnivores. Carnivores are those animals which feed on the other animals, like they eat flesh, or they are called flesh eaters, like cheetah, foxes, wolves, and a few birds like owls, eagles, hawks, vultures. They are all, uh, mm, we can say that they are flesh eaters or they are carnivores animals. These sheep, goat, they are called grazing animals or cattle, as well as they are called herbivores. So they feed on the producers like plants, and flesh eaters or carnivores feed on these herbivores. So there is a chain of this feeding habit. Many kinds of insects are also found in the grassland. Due to fertile soil, due to more food present over there, so many type of insects also live over there. If we see this grassland habitat, there are trees, a few trees, but there is grass everywhere. If you see, so there are a few animals like these are um, a tiger, cheetah, or this is elephant. Like elephant also eats grass. Are present over there, as well as jackals live over there too. They are carnivores, and some birds live over there. So now we will see the second type of habitat, that is called pond habitat. A pond is an aquatic habitat which is rich in life. Rich in life. Why? Because water is present over there. So water is the life of every living organism. So where there is water, there is life. So it is rich in life, not only plants, but lots of animals also residents of this pond habitat. Plants like algae, duckweed, water lily, they are all present in the plant. You see, these type of small plants, they are duckweed and some algae. If you find the water green in color, there is a layer of green over there. uh, so we will say that that is algae present over there. So if you see that whole the water you see here, that is greenish. So that green is algae which grows on the water. Duckweed, water lily also are present in there, and some fishes under the pond. The pond skaters, wolf spiders, snails, frogs, and microorganisms are found in the pond. So if you see here, this is water lily. So that is the resident of pond, and it looks very fascinating. Duckweed is present over there. some wolf spider which live like near the pond or in the pond. They can travel, and they are called pond skaters, like they skate in the water, up on the surface of the water. Here we will see the next type of habitat, that is called the desert habitat. In desert habitat, lots of different kinds of animals live over there, although there is very little rainfall. Scarcely there is a rainfall, like sometimes like in many years there is 1 or 2 times rainfall over there. Deserts are the driest land areas, so the earth changes into um, the soil changes into that sand. So the rainwater quickly drains away due to the sandy soil. Rainwater just absorbs quickly into the sand, and it hardly the water is collected if there is much rainfall. So if there is soil is present, so water is collected over there, so animals feed on that water. Otherwise, very less water, plants and animals present in that area. And plants and animals have adapted to limited supply of water, because no organism can live without water, but God has gifted them some of the like characteristics by which they can survive in this limited supply of water. They store the water in their bodies, whether they are plant or whether they are animals. So if you see cactus, this is cacti, plural of cactus. Euphorbia, that is also cactus like plant. Lizards, snakes, kangaroo rats, not kangaroo rats, because they jump like kangaroos. Camels also, they are the uh, desert habitants. So if we see here, there are different features of desert habitat. Look what type of plants and animals live over there. Their skin is too much hard to protect themselves to escape more water, as well as like plants are having succulent organs, or that we can say those type of organs which are having thick fleshy skin, through which water is stored in the body. The water is not escaped from the body. If you see what these type of organisms live in the very dry places. So this is kangaroo rat, this one also kangaroo rat, scorpion, antelope, ground squirrel, as well as if you see different types of animals which is having hard and tough skins to protect themselves from scorching sunlight, as well as from the escaping of water. Yes, the next one is the fourth part of the habitat, or fourth kind of habitat, that is a rainforest habitat. Rainforests are always wet. Why they're called rainforests? Because these are the forests which are having lots of rain throughout the year, and they receive rain the whole year, and the large number of plant types like herbs, shrubs, and trees are present. Herbs are very small plants, shrubs are having the average height, and trees are long plants. So several varieties of butterflies, snakes, lizards, frogs, parrots, cockatoos, hummingbirds, cats, jaguars are also present in the habitat. Like lots of other kinds which are impossible to write here, because where there is water there is life. If you see this one, this is cockatoo, and it lives in this forest. So you see a very fascinating and beautiful image of rainforest. Everywhere there are lush green trees. These are shrubs because they are having small height, and they are trees. Waterfalls over there, and if we see hummingbird is also present in this rainforest habitat. You see very fascinating beauty of a rainforest habitat. We can see lots of animals and plants. Different varieties of them are present over there. You see different colorful organisms: jaguar, elephant, parrots, chimpanzees, or um, like cheetah, are different kinds of butterflies, and lots of varieties of herbs, shrubs, and trees and plants are present in that habitat due to the presence of water and trees. Yes, dear students, this is all for today. Inshallah, we will see you in the next lecture. Wish you very good luck.